In the wild heart of southern Spain, nature carves deep canyons into the earth. The Guadalhorce River flows through a massive gorge called El Chorro. 100 years ago, this place was more than just beautiful. It was a place of power. People wanted to use the river's strength to make electricity for the growing cities nearby. They decided to build 2 hydroelectric dams, one at each end of the gorge. But there was a big problem. How could workers and materials get from one side of the deep canyon to the other? The cliffs were steep and dangerous. There was no easy way across. So they came up with a bold plan. They would build a walkway. Not just any walkway, but one that clung to the sheer rock face, 100 meters above the rushing river. This was an incredible challenge of engineering. The workers were tough. They were often sailors, used to hanging from ropes high above the decks of their ships. They used simple tools and sheer determination. They hammered spikes into the rock and laid down concrete slabs, creating a thin ribbon of a path that seemed to float in mid-air. It was built for a simple reason: to help build the future. The original path was finished in 1905. The new dams and the power plant were a huge achievement for Spain. It was a symbol of progress and modern thinking. In 1921, King Alfonso XIII came to see the project. He was there to officially open the Conde del Guadalhorce Dam. To reach the ceremony, the king had to cross the gorge. The only way across was a narrow concrete path clinging to the cliff. This moment would change the path's story forever. A royal visit to one of the wildest places in Spain. The king was not afraid, known for his courage. He stepped onto the walkway high above the churning river. Officials followed as he walked the entire length. He must have looked down at the incredible drop below. He would have felt the wind rushing through the canyon. He saw the work of the brave men who built the path by hand. He was impressed by the engineering and the sheer guts it took. This was not just a walk, it was a statement of support. After he crossed, local people were filled with pride. Their humble service walkway had been walked by royalty. From that day it gained a grander name. People started calling it El Caminito del Rey, the King's Little Path. As the years went by, time weather began to attack the King's Little Path. The hot Spanish sun, the strong winds of the gorge took their toll. The concrete began to crumble, the steel supports grew rusty and weak. The path was no longer maintained. It fell into a state of dangerous disrepair. Large sections of the concrete floor fell away, leaving huge gaps. All that was left in many places were the narrow steel beams underneath. The handrail, which was just a simple wire, rusted through and disappeared in long stretches. The path became a skeleton of its former self. Even though it was falling apart, the path did not scare everyone away. In fact, the danger became the main attraction. A new kind of visitor started to arrive. These were thrill-seekers, climbers, and adventurers. The path soon earned a much darker nickname: the Walkway of Death. This was not an exaggeration. The risks were very real. The government officially closed the path in 2000 after a few tragic accidents. The local and regional governments knew something had to be done. The path's dangerous reputation was a problem, but they also saw an opportunity. The Caminito del Rey was famous. What if they could make it safe? What if they could bring it back to life, not as a place of death, but as a world-class tourist attraction? The idea was to honor the path's incredible history while making it accessible for everyone, not just expert climbers. In 2011, a bold restoration project was approved. The goal? A new path for a new generation. The rebuilding was a modern engineering feat. Workers were brought in. Helicopters flew in materials, wood, steel. They preserved the old path, built the new walkway directly above the crumbling original. As you walk the new path, you can look down at the broken remains below. Safety was the priority. Wooden planks bolted onto steel supports drilled into the rock. In March 2015, the new El Caminito del Rey officially opened to the public. The transformation was incredible. The Walkway of Death was gone. In its place was a stunning and completely safe aerial path that offered breathtaking views. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Tickets sold out months in advance. People from all over the world flocked to this corner of Spain. The project was a massive success right from the start. The old path's fearsome story had turned into a new story of wonder and accessibility. The reopening has had a huge positive impact on the local communities. Alora, Ardalas and Tequera, new hotels, restaurants, businesses. This has created many new jobs and brought a new sense of energy and optimism to the region. The Caminito is no longer a local secret or an underground challenge. It is now the main driver of the local economy, a sustainable source of pride and income for the people who live there. Walking the path today is an awe-inspiring experience. You can feel the history beneath your feet as you look down at the old, broken concrete, but you feel completely safe. It remains the King's Little Path, but now it is a path for everyone to dare to walk.